Anybody that knows me knows that I suffer from chronic hemorrhoids. They also know that I love playing video games, and I like to bring them with me, but sometimes that portability doesn't always equal convenience. It's hard trying to bring games with me when my pockets are already full of shit, and I could do something like wear a fanny pack, but I can't do that because I'm self-conscious about my masculinity and have to overcompensate by eating protein and lifting weights. Luckily, a solution is out there. Long ago, in 2003, a guy by the name of George McBallsack looked through a microscope, and what he found on the other side was a tiny little Bluetooth gamepad, which he named the IINE. Alright, so this thing isn't that tiny, but it is really small. And it pairs with something we always have with us all the time. Your phone. It's called the IINE gamepad, which is kind of a weird name, but when you think about it, it makes sense. Remember that episode of SpongeBob where he spelled fun? The N stands for anywhere and anytime at all.
Mr. Anywhere and anytime at all.
Which is extremely true with how small this thing is. And you might be thinking, oh, that's too small, that's going to be uncomfortable. And you'd be right to an extent, but I ended up getting one of these like sticky car dashboard mats and cut a square out of it, put it on the back, which lets you stick it to your phone. And it's kind of crazy, because it holds on pretty well. You can put this thing upside down, shake it around, it doesn't come off. And all it is a little sticky mat. I put the flat side on the back of the controller and then the gridded side on the part that you put on your phone. And you just stick it on and play games. So now your phone, which is already an emulation powerhouse, can combine gaming with the retro feel of having clicky buttons in your hand at the cost of carrying around a controller that's only a little bit bigger than a Game Boy Advance cartridge. Look at all these different ways to bring Pokemon Crystal with me. Obviously, there's the Game Boy Color, which is my favorite way to play. It looks incredible with a modded OLED screen, and you can't beat the authentic feel of a Game Boy Color in your hands. But I want to protect that screen with a case, and having a case makes it super bulky, and you're limited to playing only Game Boy and Game Boy Color games. Then there's the Game Boy Advance SP, which fixes the screen issue, but the cartridge sticks way out, and once again, you're stuck to all your Game Boy games up to Game Boy Advance. To fix our limitations, there are emulation consoles which let you play tons of different consoles and tons of different games, but are still just extra bulk to carry around. The Miu Mini Plus is a fantastic console with a great screen, but just isn't all that comfortable until you add a grip, which practically eliminates all portability and defeats the purpose. So what are we left with? The IINE gamepad, which I think will be hard to top when it comes to the easiest thing to slide in your pocket and bring with you. So I just wanted to make this video to show anyone that's interested in emulation this cool little trick I discovered with the sticky mat, because everywhere I look, people have those gamepads that hold your phone in the middle, kind of like a Nintendo Switch. And everyone who reviews this controller online uses it as like a separate gamepad, but this thing really shines when you mount it to your phone and essentially have a Game Boy style device everywhere you go in a tiny package. I also got this little earbuds case on Amazon which holds it almost perfectly, so you don't have to worry about the sticky pad collecting a bunch of dirt and stuff. And I keep the little protective plastic on the back until I'm ready to use it. You just peel it off and stick it on your phone. And even if it does wear out and get dirty and stop sticking, you got this entire other mat to cut squares out of and put on the back of it. So you've essentially got a lot of time for this thing to stick onto your phone. This case came in a 2-pack for about $8, and the sticky mat was $4, and the gamepad itself was about $18. All in all, that's pretty good when you consider what an emulator console costs, or God forbid, authentic Nintendo hardware. Plus, our phones have way more power than these consoles, at least any you'd get otherwise for around $25. So hopefully this video helps somebody else out, and hopefully somebody eventually invents a gamepad that actually mounts to our phones that remains easily portable, so that we can continue to utilize the power we carry with us everywhere. Anyways, have fun gaming and stay tuned for more junky content coming soon.